Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back here to today's edition of Intuitive Angling, and thank you very much for taking some time out of your day to spend with me on the video. Really appreciate that. And guys, I've been wanting to do this video for a long time. I've been putting it off, but the time is now to do it. I want to go over it. I want to talk about and have a discussion, just like you and I were sitting around talking here in the tackle room, about how money corrupts everything. I don't care what it is, business, fishing, politics, everything out there. And I think that it's important to have conversations like this, because a lot of the things that happen in our daily lives, whether it be fishing or just in general, you can't ever normalize or get complacent with things that are really destructive to our society. So I got some things I want to say here in today's video that I'd be also curious to get your guys' feedback on that as well. So we're gonna get into the fact that how money corrupts everything in today's episode. Also, guys, before we get started, I just want to thank everybody that's taken time to hit that subscribe button here at Intuitive Angling. Man, if you guys want to help the channel out for something that's free and easy to do, just hit that subscribe button and the like button and share the videos. That's a good way to support Intuitive Angling. If you like the content here, like I said, free and easy to do so. Right now, we've only got like 30% of the people that watch the videos are actually subscribed. So if we could just get everybody to subscribe, Intuitive Angling, and probably get that million, that YouTube gold plaque for million subscribers down the road pretty quick. So really appreciate that. Okay, guys, there's a lot to unpack in today's video. I'm gonna try to do the best I can with it. I got a lot of different references and examples I want to use here. First of all, it's not the fact that money is bad. It's the fact that money corrupts some people when they use it to try to gain power and influence unjustly. Used correctly, it can be a great thing. I'm not anti-money is the thing about it. It's like used correctly with ethics and integrity and honesty, it can be a really positive thing. Prime example, guys, is a really good friend of mine that I've known forever. He has a successful business, a very successful business. And anyway, you would never know it from talking to him, because he wears t-shirts and jeans all the time. He lives a very modest lifestyle. He drives an old truck, but he is worth a freaking ton of money. And he always says to me, he has always said to me for years, Randy, money corrupts everything. That's like at the top of his mind. And he is somebody that could be corrupted by money if he would have allowed it to do that, but he understands the negativity and the darkness of that. And therefore, he doesn't, even though he's got a very successful business, he treats his employees very well. He pays his employees very well, gives a lot of money away to charity, doesn't keep much for himself, puts stuff back into his business. And he said when he dies, he wants to give his money away to charity. Like I said, just somebody that has been super successful financially that has not been corrupted by money. This is an exception to the rule, but there are people out there like that. And this guy is a prime example that I wish he could talk to every one of these people I'm getting ready to dog on right here. Okay, now there's a lot of in fact, not a lot, about every segment of our society is corrupted by money to some point. None more than politics. Now, for example, let me give you a prime example. There's been two periods in the United States where money has really corrupted politics. One was in the late 1900s, the late 1800s, like 1880s, 1890s, where the railroad barons and the shipping barons were just taking over the country. They were using their money and their wealth and their influence to basically create a country in their own image, and they were just running roughshod through the country, just abusing power and, corrupting through money. Teddy Roosevelt come along, about that time, excuse me, and he broke up all those monopolies. He broke up all the big shipping monopolies, all the big, railroad monopolies, because he understood it was a danger, to our country to have power consolidated in such a small group. And then more recently here, like in modern era, like today, we have seen the influence that billionaires have on our elections in terms that there's people that have billions of dollars, billionaires out there that spend hundreds of millions of dollars influencing elections, putting politicians, propping up politicians, paying for politicians' campaigns in return for favors. They're going to they want government contracts. They're going to put hundreds of millions of dollars into helping somebody become a congressman or senator. They want these government contracts. They want legislation passed that will, benefit them financially. Corruption. It's like money corrupts everything. And we've seen a tremendous amount of politicians recently that have literally had their backbones removed by billionaires, so they can remain in power and have whatever political office they have. That's the dark side of money, is what we're talking about, and it's undeniable. It doesn't matter what side of the political spectrum that you're on. It's not right. It's not right for one person to be able to influence our society so much just because they've got some money versus somebody that doesn't have any money, that just has one vote. So that's something that we're dealing with right now, and we've always, it's not just now, we've always had some degree of that in our country, because like I said, you can't ever underestimate the power of greed and the darkness that money brings to some people. Now, one of the most wisest dudes that I have ever met in my life, he was an Indian. He called himself an Indian shaman, but he was sort of like a dude that lived the old Indian ways. And he was saying, Randy, he goes, let me tell you the definition of evil, what evil is. And this guy, like I said, super philosophical, super respect this dude. He goes, evil, the definition of evil is somebody that tries to gain power and profit at the expense of somebody else. Now think about that, guys. Somebody that tries to gain power and profit at the expense of other people. We see that a lot today. There's no place of that in our society. That does nothing to aid in, the greater benefit of the world that we live in. And we even see this in bass fishing, guys. We have seen how money corrupts tournament organizations where they know that forward-facing sonar is not a good thing for the sport. There's zero benefit that forward-facing sonar brings into our sport, and it brings a plethora of negativity in our sport. But when you have money involved with it, and electronic companies throw money at tournament organizations, and they continue to allow this technology to be legal in tournaments, that is another example about how money corrupts everything. Money has corrupted bass fishing. It has. I don't care. I'll argue that with anybody out there, that money has corrupted tournament bass fishing in this country, because if you took all that away, if you had a tournament organization that did not rely and did not become subservient to some extent to companies or entities that provided financial, assistance or financial sponsorships to that company, this would never happen. We wouldn't be dealing with this live scope bullshit that we've had to deal with for the past 5 years or so in fishing. It influences every aspect of our society, guys. I've seen it here in Missouri. I've talked a lot about this, about how a lot of these, prime examples, a lot of these developers here, they will purchase up large tracts of land, 400, 500, 600 acre tracts of land. And they do it very clandestinely. They do it very quietly. And then all of a sudden, they'll post like a little bitty 8x10 piece of white paper, and they'll tack it onto a telephone pole somewhere, and it says public hearing, basically, to if you oppose this development that's getting ready to go in, we're having a public hearing, such and such, and it's in print about that big around. Obviously, you'd have to walk up right to it with a pair of reading glasses to read it. So anyway, they have this public hearing. Nobody shows up to it. There's no opposition to the proposed development, and the zoning and planning commissions in cahoots with the building, developers out there. They ramrod through this stuff, at the expense of everybody else. That's a prime example of somebody using power and profit to, get an unfair advantage. So, like I said, this is nothing new in our society. We, as humans have dealt with this to some level, for thousands of years. People that have a lot usually want more. There's very few exceptions to the rule, like my buddy that I talked to here. But as a collective society, as a group, as a as a totality of a society, we can't do this, guys. This is not the right thing to do. We cannot allow money to influence our daily lives. And whatever it takes to do that, we're going to have some type of a huge awakening in the country that we do not give power to people that do not deserve power. And right now, guys, we are in a period in the history of not just the United States, but in the world in general, where people have given power to people that do not deserve power. They do not know, they don't have the responsibility or the ethics or the morals to wield power, yet they do, because people give them power. And it's just like in politics, guys. People that wield power and influence in politics, they don't do that on their own. There's people behind them that give them that power because they want to benefit from it as well. And it's a vicious, never-ending cycle. So my point, or what I want to try to do in this video, for whatever it may be worth, just be aware of it. Just be aware of the fact that if you see something that doesn't seem right and you don't understand really how this is happening, it goes back to follow the money. It's always there if you follow the money. And the only thing that we have as a group of a society to fight against this is our voice. You have your voice, you have the platforms that you have to express your opposition, you can protest, you can show your opposition through voting. I mean, there's a lot of different things that we can do, but it is a very slow process, because the problem you have is once people gain power, they don't want to let go of power. You see that evident today in politics. They will do anything, lie, steal, and cheat to remain in power. That's the dark side of human behavior that has got to be changed. And a lot of it comes from your upbringing. If somebody is raised to be honest and live their life through the qualities of empathy and kindness and compassion and honesty and integrity, if kids are raised with those elements of intelligence, we don't create people out there like we've seen today that are basically abusing power and, using money to corrupt and get the things that they want at the expense of other people. So anyway, guys, just a few random thoughts there have been on my mind I wanted to talk about. Let me know what you guys think about it, and we'll check in later.